playing some more Jeskai today. I think I've only changed like 2 or 3 cards from yesterday's list. I added a Settle the Wreckage to the main deck, and then I added the 4th Tails into the sideboard, and that was... Yeah, I think we keep both of these. The extra Tails in the sideboard is largely so we can just have one more card against Mono Greentron, which is something I felt we were lacking yesterday. Looks like we're playing against a 4-color control deck, which I have found to be a pretty solid matchup, which is something I'm happy to say. I will go ahead and just Wildfire their Triome. Probably won't mess their mana up too much, but hopefully a little bit. And then if this Blood Sun can resolve, that's going to be a really good thing for us. It's not definitely going to be able to resolve, of course. Why the late start? I was taking a huge dump. Did I sell back to 5th Serum Visions? No, I forgot to. I'll get around to it. They don't have Cryptic up. Yeah, I think we just jammed this Blood Sun. Good morning, ACC. Can I show you the Flagfire list of tweak? Sure, Kodal. Yeah. Unavoidable delay. Hopefully we just see them Field of Ruin in response, and we even get to cast Serum Visions if they do. Yeah, the stream started like 7 minutes late. I usually try to be very punctual, but sometimes my body has different ideas, I guess. Cool. Jeskai Flagfire. Just give me a second. I really like the second Teferi in Jeskai. I do like the addition of Valakut Awakening. I also prefer the 3rd Teferi over the 1st Narset in the main. Not a huge fan of 2nd Spell Snare right now either. I am kind of a fan of 2 Force. I also like the Sinkhole a lot over the 2nd Path. Cool. I hope that it's performing well for you. I haven't played a traditional Flagfire deck in a little while. It's kind of tough. Like, assuming this Blood Sun stays in play, I think we're really just not going to have a hard time losing this game under any circumstance. But in case the Blood Sun dies somehow, which I don't think is very likely, I'll keep the Valakut Awakening to maybe get a new hand. Did we abandon the idea of Aspiring plus JC mode? I think I did, just because I think the joke is kind of tired at this point. Also nice, that, of course, that Blood Sun shuts off Field of the Dead, shuts off their fetch lands. 3rd Teferi felt awkward. I've liked it, but I also haven't played Jeskai in a little while, but I've played a lot with 3 Teferi. It's possible it's not correct at the moment, and Narset is a good card. I don't think it's going to be a big deal either way. But I do think that I really like the second Hero of Dominaria and the traditional Jeskai. Playing 4 in this version, basically, over the Jaces. Nice Hour of Promise. The level 0 modern metagame of just play Blood Sun. Play Blood Sun 5-head. Hey, you mod. Hope you're having a good day. Good morning, Red Headband. Sorry to everyone coming in who went to miss the first couple matches of the stream started. Yeah, I don't know. I know they got a fetch land into the face of the Blood Sun. What the hell? I know nobody cares about me being late, but I care about me being late.
Welcome, Spike Lee.
I know nobody's sweating it. But I've just always been like really... I've always really cared about being on time for everything in my life. I don't really care about other people being on time. Pete Terry, 9 months in a row. Sub baby is born. Thanks, man. Hope you're having a good day. Blood Sun or Alpine Moon? Definitely Blood Sun. Main deck Tails End also continuing to do work. Turn 4, cast Cryptic and Tail's End. Opponent concedes the game. We have a good 4-color control matchup. It's awesome. No! Oh no, this list isn't up to date. This isn't exactly the right 75. The second dispute is supposed to be the 4th Tail's End. It's not gonna be a big deal. I also got like alpha basics, but then I guess I must have restarted my Magic Online or something. But I was playing with alpha art basics today. We'll switch that up for the next league. It's not going to be a big difference. It's just one card difference, and this card is also good in this matchup. Wait, isn't this the Decklist Mo ever posted on Twitter? Yeah, I'm not going to give him credit, but you know, maybe one day if he proves his worth to me, I'll give him some of that aspiring spike clout. Yes, thanks, Luis. That would be way better. Before I go, 1 Narset, 2 Teferis, 2 Jays, 2 Big Tef. Valakut, yeah, Valakut and Narset's kind of interesting together. Wait, why is my webcam this low? Why did I choose Blood Sun? Blood Sun synergizes with Lotus Field, as you saw there, or maybe didn't see there. Blood Sun makes Lotus Field enter untapped and not have to sacrifice 2 lands and still taps for 3 mana. And is also, like, there also are a lot of Field of the Dead fetch land decks in Modern right now that Blood Sun is good against. Obviously, this hand's a bit awkward, but, you know, awkward hands with Serum Visions are often translate to keeps. I'm going to keep both of these. Lotus Field sacrificing Flagstones is often good enough for me. And then we can play a turn for Teferi. Hey, Nuasha. Yeah, I like this deck a lot too. I'm really, really happy with how well it's been performing. I was not expecting it to be nearly as good as it is, but it seems pretty good. Yeah, I might play this on Saturday. I'm not 100% sure. I will dispute this. I'm not 100% sure, but I do usually like to play Fresh Brews on like those weekend tournaments, you know. Am I gonna just run out of Snapcaster? It's kind of important if they play a Planeswalker, but I'm just not going to. How does Bloodstone interact with the Flagstone stacks? Yeah, it does stop Flagstones from working, but I haven't found that to be a big deal. It seems like you can often just kind of play around that because it's, you know, it's your own Flagstones trigger, and so if you have multiple Flagstones, you can usually get the trigger off before you play Bloodsun. You can also Wildfire Flagstones that's in play and then play a second one sometimes. Maybe I will play this. Nah. Definitely waffling. Jay Wright, 3 months in a row. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, it also stops shock lands and fast lands from having downsides. Just turns them into dual lands. No, you got it in time, at chess. Thank you, thank you. Always funneling the last bit of coal into the hype train fire. Okay. Got to successfully untap. Probably just going to play Serum Visions and then hold up Cryptic Command this turn. I don't think we need a third Snapcaster, but it is a spell. That's probably fine to keep. Opponent, I think, is very unlikely to have a 4 or 5 mana threat to tap out for. I think their hand is pretty reactive, which is probably something that favors us a little bit at least. I think we just play this tapped. Playing it untapped doesn't like really let us do anything extra. I guess we could go Snap Visions and then not hold up Cryptic, but have Snap Dispute up. But I think I'd rather just like maybe go Snap Serum Visions next turn. They have a Field of the Dead, which is a problem. I guess I'm gonna bounce the Field of the Dead here, draw a card. We kind of just need to get the ball rolling now that they have Field. And I guess a Veil of Summer is a bit of a Veil of Bummer, but that's an interesting draw. Yeah, I think making a big Shark end of turn puts us in a decent spot, especially if their turn is just Field of the Dead go again. Maybe we could make a 3/3 Shark, block a zombie, and then still hold up Tail's End. It could be a bit better. I think I like that. Tail's End seems like a good enough of a reason to do this. I'm going to play this in my local Modern tournament you sold me. That's awesome. Yeah, I actually bought... I didn't buy Blood Suns, but I did buy the Tail's End and the Lotus Field. I guess I should probably pick up some Blood Suns too, just in case I ever want to play this deck. I'm going to target the Mana Leak. Mana Leak is more relevant, being exiled than Ren and 6. Opponent concedes the match. Wow. 4-color control is ruining Modern. I'm just going to play Blood Sun in the main deck. Move over a Field of the Dead. Lotus Field is now the premier field of Modern. Blooming Marsh, Inquisition of Kozilek. Been a while. I just bought Blood Suns. Picked up a playset. I meant to last night and I forgot. They took my land. Pretty good. Do I think that Bant Ephemerate or that Jeskai are better than Wildfire? I don't know. I think Bant Ephemerate is like, if I was just trying to play a deck to win a tournament, I would probably select the... Do I want to hold up Tail's End here, or do I want to play Serum Visions? I think I just want to hold up Tail's End. JP, thank you for a tier 1. Love to see a new subscriber. It is very appreciated. I would play Bant Ephemerate if my goal was to just like play in a tournament today. But I also think that this deck is showing a lot of promise, and but it's just I just haven't played enough of it to know if it's better than like the other version of Jeskai, if it's better than Bant, if it's even a good deck. Honestly, just still a little early to tell. I'm gonna bottom both of these. I want to find a land. I think I should have cast Serum Visions last turn. My opponent knew I had Tail's End. I was just thinking maybe if they only had fetch lands, we could stop them from deploying a threat. They revealed Tarmogoyf off of their Dark Confidant. I do not think that Uro is too good for Modern, but I resent the fact that if you want to play a 4-color control deck in Modern, you have to play Uro. I mean, that's true of a 4-color control deck, but it's not true of a 3-color control deck, any like 4-color deck in MTG is basically always going to be playing just like the most efficient threats on curve, I do have a main deck Settle the Wreckage now. An untapped land would let us go to Teferi and to Cryptic, tap their team, which would be pretty powerful. We did not draw the untapped land, sadly. So let's just Serum Visions. There's the untapped land. Could probably keep the Snapcaster. We can do a lot of cryptic tapping. I'll just bolt this Bob and hope my opponent doesn't Thoughtseize or Assassin's Trophy my hero. JP also subscribing, awesome. So Jeskai Wildfire is the worst. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I think Bant is probably the deck I would recommend to you if you are trying to. Oh, interesting. They shuffle the top of my library. Bant is the deck I'd recommend if you're trying to play a tournament today. But this deck is just too untested to say if it's better than the other Jeskai version or not. Okay, let's go ahead and pass. Yeah, the Ephemerate deck is sweet. I really, really like it. And that one is just kind of proven itself, while this deck is still... I'm still just kind of testing. I imagine that's like some things about this 75 will change, and... Can I just draw a land? They also Inquisitioned one of my lands this game, so I guess that's part of this. Okay. Discard a Wildfire, I think. No, I'll discard Tail's End. Although, no, Tail's End would have been good if we draw another Lotus Field. Okay, did not. Everything is fine. By everything is fine, I mean we probably need to draw Settle the Wreckage to win this game. Or, I mean, even Nexus of Fate is probably probably going to be able to do some good work. And now we can lightning. If they level up a Hex Drinker, we can bolt the Hex Drinker. They level up. Oh no, sorry. I thought we would untap all of our mana for some reason. That's not true. Yeah, awesome. Definitely join the Discord. You get the Sideboard guide for the Bant deck that you like too. Yeah, so Nexus of Fate, Settle the Wreckage, maybe a hard cast Shark Typhoon would be good. Might discard Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. It's just so bad if they have like Assassin's Trophy or Maelstrom Pulse. Yeah, I'll discard a Wildfire. There should be a command that explains what control decks are as good as their answers, which might be good or bad depending on what they face. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure like how useful commands for questions like that are, because I don't know that we necessarily even get them that often. Maybe we do. I'll think about it. They should probably level their Hex Drinker, right? Draw a card. Okay, so we can snap Cryptic. Maybe we're just going to try to ultimate this Teferi. Let's bolt Luris, I think. Play this tapped. Maybe I should have played the Flagstones, but I'll just untap both of these with the Teferi trigger. And then discard the Flagstones, tap their team, and then Snapcaster can probably attack the Liliana and just stop it from ultimating. Hey Tug, how are you doing today? Maybe I'm supposed to... We'll see how many cards my opponent has in their hand, but maybe I'm supposed to tap bounce the Snapcaster so I can Cryptic again. That would be bad if I think my opponent has like a Fatal Push in their hand. And I think that that's probably likely enough that I don't want to bounce the Snapcaster, and I can maybe bounce the Snapcaster with my other Cryptic. And also, like, if I do want to attack the Liliana, obviously I'd rather the Snapcaster be in play, of course. Can maybe tap bounce the Liliana. Okay, there's another Lotus Field. Maybe this, like, if I had, you know, maybe this, I'm regretting playing the second Flagstones now, but I'll just discard the Lotus Field. Oh, no, no, never mind. We want the Lotus Field. Let's untap it with Teferi, of course. What's the appeal of Lotus Field in the deck? So you get to untap it with Teferi, which is like the big payoff. But it also like synergizes with Flagstones, Blood Sun, and Tail's End. So there's a lot going on with it. All right, so let's see if they want to make this trade. I think that they will make this trade. They won't. Interesting. Yeah, just like being able to cheat on mana in a Jeskai deck is a big deal. It's a really big game. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go tap bounce my Snapcaster before they get to draw a card. Yeah, but just like look how like good Teferi is when it costs -1 mana. You know, Teferi is already pretty good. My opponent revealed a Questing Beast, which is really, really good for them, of course. So I guess what we want to do is Snapcaster Mage targeting Tail's End, so that way we can counter the Questing Beast. I guess they can't play the Questing Beast. We can counter the Liliana activation, or, you know, they just can't play a Questing Beast pre-combat. Wait, what? Yeah, I guess they knew about the Snapcaster, so they want to cast the Inquisition. Yeah, we were supposed to target Lightning Bolt, not Tail's End. But my opponent foolishly minus the Liliana and made that not a big deal. Yeah, I think that we need to plus this Teferi and keep the ball rolling and draw something else. That is something else. So let me bolt this Bob, play a tap Spirebluff Canal. They also haven't been leveling their Hex Drinkers at all. We have 2 Cryptics in the graveyard, so I will go in their... oh, they have Questing Beasts, so we can't tap their team in their upkeep before they could draw like a Fatal Push. We need to tap their team after they cast the Questing Beast. I don't think I need to counter the Questing Beast either. I don't think it really matters. They're gonna level up Hex Drinker. It doesn't really matter either, I think. What are my thoughts on Yawgmoth in Modern? I think the deck is fine. It's certainly like near and dear to my heart. It's definitely seems like the deck that if you're just a master of it, you can like tune it for specific metagames and find a lot of success with it. Awakening, interesting. Let's go ahead and cast that. Awakening has been incredibly good in this deck. Yeah, so we should be able to ultimate this Teferi now. Well, oh, not now, but this game. Can we just kill them? Opponent's got something they're trying to do. Let me just go tap draw here. We're pretty close to just killing our opponent. Would I agree that the best decks in Modern are Omnath, Red Black Shadow, Heliod, and Reclaimer? I would say that those decks are tier 1. Yeah. That is probably what I would define as tier 1 in Modern, yeah. Like the decks to beat. I guess I'm supposed to tap this. I would like to draw a Nexus of Fate. I'd also like to play a Lotus Field. I think they're just dead. This deck is so powerful. Like, you're definitely, like, sacrificing consistency for power. But that's usually fine. So we get to ultimate this Teferi, but they're also just dead to Bolt, Snap, Bolt, right? This was an awesome game. Definitely like really showcases like why this deck has so much promise. Just didn't feel like anything my opponents were doing were like, you know, like just could compete with what I was doing. Wait, is this deck actually good? Yeah, this deck is, I was saying this yesterday, this deck actually is powerful. This deck has a lot of power. And it's weird to see control decks that sacrifice consistency for power, but that's what this deck is doing. And so it maybe doesn't look good at first glance, but it is incredibly powerful when it gets to do its thing. And I've been really impressed by it, like just really blown away with how much I've liked the deck so far. I don't usually like Nexus against rock decks. Probably just play the second fun Raveler. I guess we also went some number of Aether Gust, although Tails in it seems pretty good against the Questing Beast, the Liliana deck. Wait, I thought I was also playing... Oh, yeah, sorry. We're going to change the list after this league, but I also cut the 4th Wildfire for a Settle. I restarted Magic Online, and then my list got kind of changed. Let me cut a couple of Wildfires, too. Yeah, you can't play Jace in this deck because you can't play Fetch Lands, because Fetch Lands are Namba with Blood Sun. And also, like, Teferi is better than Jace in this deck by a lot. And yeah, in the other Jeskai list, I have, like, 2 Jace, 2 Teferi, so it just makes a lot of sense to play 4 Teferi to me. What's the record at the moment? Today we're 1-0, and we're up a game. Got started, like, 30 minutes ago. With the only white splash being Teferis, you can splash a different color. Could you splash a different color or no splash? Well, the white splash is the most important because Flagstones plays really well with Lotus Field. So splashing a different color has diminishing returns. Teferi is also, like, in my opinion, the best payoff for being on Lotus Field because it untaps Lotus Field. But I'm sure that there are other directions you can take this with, like, green for Uro or maybe Knight of the Reliquary. Although that would probably be a 4 color because you still need white for Knight. But I think that this is, like, probably the best way to build it, at least at the time of making this comment. I think that way. I mean, I don't think you want to play Primeval Titan. Like, you don't want to... This is not a Field of the Dead deck, because Lotus Field and Field of the Dead play terribly together. Yeah, I'm not sure how it got messed up, but this was the list I wanted to play. Although this was a Tail's End. This is what's in the Stream Decker. Had different art basics. Maybe... Oh, I know what happened. I actually joined the queue with this 75 first. That's right. Let's keep this. I think I actually put back Serum Visions. We're not casting it early here. And this hand is just like exactly what this deck is trying to do. Where you play a turn 4 Teferi with Cryptic Command up. How long do we have a bounce land or two? I'm not like really that interested in bounce lands because I feel like they play really badly with Lotus Field. Just like imagine if your hand is regular land, Lotus Field, bounce land, then all of a sudden like you can't play your Lotus Field on turn 3, which is something I'm like pretty nervous about. They surgical extraction my Cryptic Commands. Okay, it's fine. Cryptic is really important in this deck, but I'll take the 0 for 1, especially... Did my opponent mulligan? It seemed like they're... Yeah, they... Oh, no, we mulliganed. Okay. What do I think of Sharkblade in the current meta? I've played it a few times recently. I haven't been very high on it. I'm not saying that it's bad, but I just don't feel like it's necessary. It's just not the best blue deck to be on right now. I think it's okay. Yeah, they should have waited for draw step. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree, Mr. August. The Valakut's Awakening really tied the room together. Opponent kept a 1-lander. Well, our deck turns online starting next turn, although if we draw a red source, I'll just play Blood Sun. Imagine if we had got to play Blood Sun before this Catacombs. They take the Teferi. Interesting. I think the Greentron... Wait, hold on. How did they have a Thoughtseize in their hand? Wait, how did they have a Thoughtseize in their hand and not cast it last turn, and then also miss their land drop and hit their land drop this turn? I'm confused. I think the Greentron and Titan are very bad matchups for Bant and Fimrate. Are you wrong? No, you're not wrong. Well, so Reclaimer Titan is a bad matchup, and Greentron is a bad matchup. But I found Amulet Titan to be fine. But yeah, you're right. Every deck has bad matchups. I would say that those are like, of the popular decks, like really the only truly bad matchups for Bant. You could tell it was by accident. They have 6 their turn. I guess that was just the case. I guess that has to be like the conclusion we draw from the information we were given. Discard a Visions? Just discard a Tail's End. Their last card is Scavenging Ooze. I don't remember them like snap passing the turn, but maybe I just are misremembering. Alright, Serum Visions. I think we can keep both of these. Do I want a Lightning Bolt? If I could draw the Lightning Bolt right now, I'd be kind of down. But if they just level this Hex Drinker, the Bolt's not doing anything. I also wish I still had the Nexus of Fate now that my Cryptics got Surgicaled. What are you going to do? Yeah, it is weird that they would discard Ooze over Bobble, I agree. I think I'm just gonna... No, Tailson can stop the Lily ultimate. They didn't plus Liliana. Okay, that's usually good for us in spots like this. And that's always good for us in every spot ever, of course. Let's bottom both of these. So we can make a 3/3 Shark. They're about to give this protection from everything, though. And so we need to find a Settle the Wreckage to beat it. The card in their hand is also good. I'm just going to pass. I mean, yeah, I do think that not everybody realizes Blood Sun turns off Hexproof, but it's also like what it turns off Hexproof from is the most relevant thing is like like Lotus, or sorry, Field of Ruin and Ghost Quarter. They brought in Plague Engineer? What the hell? Don't you dare name Shark. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. They probably just name Human. They named Wizard, sure. This is the card they didn't want to plus Liliana for last turn. Shocklands enter untapped with Bloodstone out without you having to pay life, and so do Fastlands. Yeah, we can Tails in the level up thing, but only like, you know, like an activation. It's not a super good exchange. Or even a kind of good exchange. They can't fetch here. They're trying to. Don't have too many outs to this. Yeah, it's like Cleansing Wildfire and like, you know, Pillage, deal with it. Oh, awesome, that's an out. Bounce this, and then we'll see. Oh, cool. Yeah, I think I'd rather attack Liliana than try to trade for Plague Engineer, because they can just minus anyways. They can just Hexdrinker and like level it back up, but it's fine. Do you play Reefworm? I don't play Reefworm. Maybe I should. I don't really have very many synergies with it, honestly. If they Tails in my or sorry, if they -2 on my Shark, I'll probably Tails End, but we just attack the Liliana next turn. They did Surgical my Cryptic Commands. Would love to draw exactly Settle the Wreckage. Alright, I'll Awakening away the Tails End. Okay, so now we can bolt the Hexdrinker. And I want my opponent to sink mana into the Hexdrinker first. Reefworm gives you Krakens and Whales. I forgot that those were the types. Although Whales don't actually like synergize with any of the like Types Matters cards, sadly. It's Leviathan, Serpents, Krakens, and Merfolk, and one other, but not Whales. But actually, Great Whale is nice because if you bounce it with Slinvada, you get to replay it, get its ETB again. But like, I have some fish and some whales in the deck. I have one crab that don't synergize with the commander, but I'll consider Reefworm. I don't understand why they plus Lily. Yeah, I don't either. Although it ended up being kind of awkward because of the. We would have loved to Valakut Awakening away the land. So if we can draw like a Teferi Hero of Dominaria and minus on the ooze, we're in good shape. There are not any more creatures in graveyards, so we can block the Shark on the ooze and then bolt it. Holding this in hand for another Valakut Awakening. And then we go to 2, and of course, top deck another answer. We win. If we don't, we don't. Bolt after damage because of like a Fatal Push. Never got to use these Cryptics. Died too young. Yeah, you're right. Like, I don't think that they would have had a Fatal Push in their hand, but... So if my opponent's going to Surgical my Cryptics, like, maybe we want Nexus of Fate. Don't hate that. Honestly, Aether Gust seems pretty good against them. I think I'm just going to play 4 Gust and no Wildfire in this matchup. Never drew Teferi that game either. Oh, a Hero of Dominaria. Did draw a Time Raveler. Gonna keep this hand. This hand seems good. Definitely not one you would mulligan against green-black. I'll bottom this. I think we can keep the plains. Have there been any issues with the deck? I mean, every deck has issues. Like, we don't always draw perfectly, but honestly, this deck feels it feels good to me. It feels like consistent enough that I'm not, like, that the deck is playable and has like some incredibly powerful series of events. I'll get to bolt a Tarmogoyf. So kind of a rare thing to be able to have happen. but always one I'm happy to see. I had Teferi in my opening hand if they thought seized it. Maybe that's true. I think you're probably right. No, if they spellbomb their own graveyard, the artifact also gets exiled. The spellbomb gets exiled to itself, and so that doesn't keep the Goyf alive. Because the exile clause of spellbomb is a may, not a must. I am fluent in Tarmogoyf interactions. Well, we are in amazing shape here. Teferi is just so good against these green-black decks. I guess they could go like Trophy and then Surgical. That could be really bad. What a sick draw. Could stop a Questing Beast or a Liliana. Dude, Tails End and Questing Beast would be rad as hell. Also Tails End a Bobble. Wow. Get Tails End that. I think I did Tails End a Spellbomb yesterday. Yeah, it's weird that Teferi costs 3 mana this game and not 1 mana. Sometimes costs 0. Oh no, let's hope they don't have Surgical. Please, 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 please. Please, please. We can't even snap Cryptic the Surgical. Because they have Spellbomb. I'm only so worried about Surgical because they showed it to us last game. They did have Surgical Extraction! Sick. Opponents made some kind of sus plays. I guess we could have shocked to hold up Bolt Snap Bolt, but I'm not like really sure what we're Bolt Snap Bolting this turn. Maybe a Tarmogoyf? Yeah, just a paid actor, of course. Shocking would have also held up Tails End if they Inquisition the Tails End. It's kind of something. I guess they just have Spellbomb though. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't hit Teferi in the draw step. They've just been playing a little loosey-goosey. It's fine. We all play a little loose from time to time. Alright. Get our last basic out of the deck. Shark Typhoon, Valakut Awakening, hell yeah. I think we cycled this Shark Typhoon. Hardcasting seems reasonable because they've already used 2 trophies. It's just such a disaster if they have another one. And I also think it's not that likely they have very much creature removal in their deck right now. If I had like a little more gas in my hand, I'd hardcast. If I had just like one more spell, I'd be pretty down. Surgical on Typhoon would be rough. I think that's what they're thinking about doing. No, they do have the 3rd trophy, so I'm glad I cycled. Don't have another basic land. Should have more planes in the deck though. Yeah, very, very reactive hand. That they have a very reactive build of Abzan post board here, which seems a little strange to me. Seems a little strange to me to have like such a reactive build of Abzan when, like, in my opinion, they're the aggro deck in this matchup. You know, I feel like they have too many reactive cards. No, we don't want to Bolt Snap Bolt into the Spellbomb, but I may like go Bolt Snap Bolt and then Tails End the Spellbomb activation. How does this deck beat 4-color ramp? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. Oh, sorry, our deck or their deck? Because we 2-0'd 4-color last round. We have main deck Blood Sun. I think we actually have a good matchup, which is kind of feels weird to say, but I think it's true. I'm going to get rid of one Snapcaster, because they are just a bit awkward with these spell bombs. Awakening is so good. Okay. I think I'll just plus. And then we could maybe have minus on the spell bomb so we could snap Awakening, but yeah, what if they just do this? I mean, I think I'm like 2 or 3-0 against the 4-color deck with this deck, but maybe I'm misremembering, or maybe we just have drawn well. But like, we have main deck Tails End and Blood Sun, both are amazing against 4-color. Both are like the best cards you can have, maybe, or pretty close to. Yeah, Awakening is an instant. It feels like it maybe should be a sorcery, but I'm really happy it's an instant. You're 5-1 versus my deck with 4-color ramp. That's fair. You mean this one? How have you already played that much against this deck? I like put it together yesterday. But like, yeah, like it's certainly possible to like win against a matchup a few times and then like think you have a good matchup. I remember like 2 PTs ago, I like was crushing the Teamer Reclamation decks on the ladder with like the Nassif blue-white deck. But then like when I actually got to the tournament, like the quality of players were just so much higher, and like I felt like I had a pretty even or maybe slightly unfavorable matchup at the end of the tournament. But going in, I was like, I'm gonna crush all these Teamer Rec players. Hell yeah. I think I'm just gonna keep both of these. Do I even care enough to minus on this Liliana? I probably do. We also get to turn off their Peatland. I guess I'm just gonna... we need to draw this Aether Gust. I stacked my cards wrong. With the Crystal Happening Ominous. Yeah, I'm glad it worked out for you. That's definitely why the card is there, you know? Or why the item is there. Let me keep this. Sounds pretty good. We can go turn 1 Serum Visions, turn 2 Wildfire, and then Blood Sun will make the Triome enter untapped. It's probably good. You think Tails End is a playable card, but I'm not sure I'd play more than one. Well, Tails End is extra good in this deck because you can counter your own Lotus Field trigger. I think like the first Tails End is pretty good in most blue decks in Modern. Honestly, I think Tails End is just a good card, but not something you can play a ton of, probably. But in this deck, it's extra good because of you can counter your own Lotus Field triggers. So that's a big part of the reason why we're playing 3. Is this deck better than my other Jeskai Wildfire deck? This deck is certainly more powerful. Better is not something I feel like I can say yet, you know? I just don't have enough reps. But the other Jeskai deck is more consistent. This version is more powerful. This deck is, of course, sacrificing some amount of that consistency for power. And, you know, you kind of should think of it like as an XY graph. This deck is this consistent versus this powerful. And, you know, ideally you want something that is like as powerful as possible while still maintaining some degree of consistency, you know. This version is also definitely cooler. I'll agree with that. Maybe I should have kept the second Flagstones because I can just like snap. Oh wow, that's why they played Snapcaster. I'm not a big fan of Scourge and Grixis. Blood Sun resolved, which is pretty nice, and now the Triome enters untapped, but also now the Flagstones loses its ability, which is kind of bad, but not a huge deal, probably. I think we can keep Cryptic Command. It's a bit clunky. This buys a lot of time. Yeah, you're probably right that they don't play the full force Skyclave, but I'm just not a fan of Skyclave in general. They also can't pay life to fetch lands, and they can't fetch anymore. Yeah, it's actually a big deal. So now, wait, they need Street Wraith to ever play Death Shadow, or for us to attack them. Like, Blood Sun just kind of strands all the shadows in their hand. It's kind of funny. So we could take 8 and then bounce the Scourge end of turn if we want to. Go down to 6, and then counter the Scourge on the way down. I think that's what I'm going to do. It's obviously, like, kind of a risky line, but I don't really want to just like start tapping immediately. I mean, we have Force of Negation to protect from a counterspell, which is kind of a key piece of this puzzle too. Hell yeah, there we go. Okay, so we can hardcast Shark Typhoon if we want, but we can't protect it from a counterspell. I think we probably just pass it back here. That's true. Thoughtseize or Street Wraith. Yeah. Yeah, both themselves. You're right. But shutting off their land is a big deal. You know, Blood Sun is just a good Magic card. Can't make a 3/3 Shark and also hold up Cryptic. I think 4 is an okay life total to be at, especially because we're not losing any more life to our lands. For the 8-rack matchup, I'm assuming the Madcap Emperion. No, you don't want a Platinum Emperion against a deck that's playing both Liliana and Smallpox. I think that's too many answers. Maybe I should go Snap Cryptic. Yeah, let's play Snap Cryptic. They have Cling to Dust. We can just cast the other Cryptic from our hand or force the Cling to Dust, but I think I'd rather save Force for a counterspell of theirs, which they don't have. They do have a Shadow, which just dies, so I guess that was an oopsie daisies. No, they're playing 2 Death Shadows intentionally to get Gurmag Angler live. You gotta respect the hustle, I think. Maybe you don't have to. Alright, I guess we're gonna hold up Cryptic for Angler. Maybe we should also cycle a Sun. That's probably good. Keep both of these. Can't quite cycle into the Teferi. Dude, Blood Sun is so good. It just like look at that shit. That's crazy. It's actually kind of unreal. So they probably take my Force of Negation, but so I don't think I want to force to counter the Inquisition. I mean, the Shadow can eventually be cast if my opponent draws Street Wraith or Thoughtseize or Lightning Bolt. If they play Lightning Bolt, which they probably do if they're playing Scourge. Yeah, but Blood Sun has just felt like a good card. I think it's possible you want to play 4, but with the 4 Serum Visions, I think that 3 has felt like a good number to have. They probably just say bolts for killing us. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, if they, I agree with that idea. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the strengths of this deck is that thanks to the main deck Blood Sun and Wildfire, you have a great game 1 against both Tron, Titan Scapeshift, Amulets. Blood Sun is not good against Tron, but it is good. Yes, the strength is that it is good against those other things. But Blood Sun does not shut off Tron. It does shut off some of Tron's value lands, but they still get to make mana with their Urza lands. I think I've trimmed like 1 Blood Sun against aggro, but like Blood Sun is so important to the deck that I don't think that you want to be sliding it out very aggressively. We have another Shark Typhoon coming up, so pretty easy cycle here. And I guess we don't attack because we can unlock a 3rd Death Shadow. Don't attack yet. Pretty good when Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, costs 1 mana. Could maybe cost 0 if we draw another Lotus Field. Alright, a very clunky 1 mana Planeswalker. Yeah, the combination of Wildfire and Blood Sun. Although I am going down on a Wildfire in the main deck for a main deck Settle, I think. Although maybe not. Maybe after this league, we just will not be that interested in main deck Settle. But I was thinking that I think 4 Wildfire is 1 too many. The more I've been kind of evaluating the deck. We have double Cryptic up, which is pretty sick. Yeah, Teferi is probably the best 1 mana Planeswalker ever printed. Just a sick game. That was awesome. So I do think we probably want these cards, which is a lot to bring in. I think I don't want this Nexus of Fate. I think I don't want the Force of Negations. I think we can go down on Tail's End, and maybe down on the Wildfires too. Or maybe we cut the bolts. Yeah, I think I'm down for cutting Lightning Bolts. Play 3 Wildfire. Could also play some number of disputes. Maybe the first dispute is better than the third Wildfire. Why Settle? Yes, you can always ask. I'm always down to have conversations, but I play Settle because you can go Teferi, untap Lotus Field in the land, and then immediately cast Settle the Wreckage. That's the reason why to play Settle over a different 4-mana sweeper. 4-mana instants are at a really high premium in this deck because of Lotus Field and Teferi, and so that's why we're playing 4 Cryptic Command as well, which is the best 4-mana instant in Modern, probably. If you're trimming... No, I don't think you want to trim on Flagstones because you still have 4 Lotus Field to sacrifice to them. Does Heliod not change that? What is Tails In mainly for? So it does a lot of different things. In this deck, we're able to main deck 3 copies because it counters our own Lotus Field trigger. And like, you do want to play some amount of 2-mana counter spells in these control decks, of course, right? But you don't want your 2-mana counterspell to be something you can't hold up if you're planning to play Lotus Field on turn 3, right? Because if you have a 2-mana counterspell, but you play Lotus Field on turn 3, you can't hold it up. But Tails End counters your Lotus Field trigger, so it's still something you can cast on turn 3 in your Lotus Field deck, which is very important in my opinion. But Tails End, like, if you look at threats in Modern, a huge portion of popular threats in Modern are legendary. Omnath, Uro, Teferi, Jace, Liliana, Rin 6, all these cards are legendary, and so a huge part of the threats in this format are just like legendary, expensive spells, and Tails End is good against legendary spells. We play this tapped. We can play Time Raveler next turn with Dispute up, or just pay for stub. I have no idea. My opponent, I guess, scoured us because they wanted the card off of Bobble, but they probably just should have waited, right? Oh no, they scoured us because we scryed with Serum Visions, of course. Never mind. Yeah, and you can also counter fetch lands, and fetch lands are, of course, incredibly popular in the format. It really isn't dead in very many matchups. Like against Mono Red, you can counter Seasoned Pyromancer or Obosh. Oh, or just, and if it ever is dead, you can counter your Lotus Field trigger. They scoured before Visions, and I don't know. If I Tails In my opponent's Valakut triggers with Scape Shift, they can only do it. Yeah, it only counters one of the triggers. They each counter separately. But if you had Summary Dismissal, it would counter all of them. I'm not sure who Reynaz is, Austin, but I'm glad that they like the deck. They're going to main phase, or end of my turn, deal 2 damage to me, make me discard a card. So they can play a Scourge of the Skyclaves. Let's discard the 3rd Cryptic. I'm not sure who Reynad is. Maybe I should know, but I don't. Popular Hearthstone streamer, former pro MTG. That's cool. It's a gap in my knowledge, I guess. The owner of Tempo Storm. I know of Tempo Storm. I don't really know exactly. I know like players who are on it, but I guess I don't know exactly what it means to be a member of Tempo Storm. Oh, they dealt 2 damage to themselves. I just noticed. That's awesome, Ninja. Good job. I guess they take this guy. Taking 7. Good draw. I'll take 7 again and then bounce the Shadow end of turn is what I'm gonna try to do. Oh. Never mind. We're dead. There's no way they would go for this if they didn't have a counter spell. Going to game 3. I think our sideboard configuration was good. Maybe we want a second Mystical Dispute if they're this heavy on counter spells. Look at the 4th Cryptic Command. Could maybe have brought in the 3rd Tails End on the play. I'm mulligan this. Okay, this hand is not functional, so we have to mulligan. Going to 5. Close hand. Mulling to 5 on the play against Shadow is definitely a feel bad. Let's keep these. Maybe we could put back basic planes and hope to draw into like Flagstones off Serum Visions. I'll keep double visions to maybe like try to sculpt a good hand. So like if we can find a Flagstones, we unmulligan once with the Lotus Field effectively. I guess we can keep the mountain. Yeah, I thought it was really funny when people kept complaining about getting mana leaked by Shadow. Kind of fine if they stubborn denial this. Might mean that they have multiple stubborn denials, but... Oh, maybe I was not supposed to play Serum Visions on turn 1 because our opponent is a Scourge deck. Could have just played my land tapped. I don't know if we had that luxury, but it's kind of an interesting thought. I'm going to cycle Street Wraith. Let the Wildfire resolve. Let's play the Lotus Field. Yeah, maybe they would board out Scourge against Jeskai. It's possible. Yeah, I'm sure they have it. They definitely have it. We saw Cryptic last game. But I think you still want to bring these in. Like they still have to have one of their few answers to it, and it's pretty good against them if they don't. Was down to 3 cards in their hand. Yeah, just mulling to 5 on the play against this deck is so tough. I guess they have command. They don't have command. Hell yeah, baby! Awesome! That's exciting. They cling to dust Madcap Experiment to draw a card. What is their hand? I have no idea. I'm not gonna block. What is this attack? What in the world is this attack? Is Lotus Field sack Lotus Field a good combo? No, but I think we. I don't know. Like it's terrible bait. I think. Like, in what world do we ever block? All right, let's see if this works. Obviously, you get blown up by a counterspell, but it's fine, right? Hey, what's up?
Athena made a new friend.
Athena made a friend?
Yeah. Do you know what an Akita is? That kind of dog?
Mm-mm.
It's like those big... They're like... She called it a Japanese husky, but they look like a husky mixed with a chow chow.
That's good.
Yeah, but her dog... Her and Athena were just looking at each other as soon as they saw each other. And they just couldn't stop. And then...
I'm not going to attack into this, especially when we have another Teferi coming up.
You know, at the very top where there's a gate, she was like, you want to say hi through the gate? and Athena was, oh my gosh, she wanted to go around the gate.
It's very cute.
Yeah. Her name was Caillou.
It's a good name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play this Blood Sun. We draw a land, we can Teferi. It's also possible we draw something else to pressure our opponent here, like a Madcap or Cryptic.
Do you want coffee? Tea?
Some tea would actually be really nice. Thank you, sweetheart. So if my opponent... Okay, they conceded. 3-0. We won on a mull to 5 against Shadow, baby! Hell yeah, on the play, which is very tough to do for a deck like this, I think. I'll keep this. Now my collection of 100 Awakenings will profit me. Maybe. That card's like kind of a sleeper. I think people know it's good. I think that people maybe just don't know how good it is. Yeah, Canal has been real good in this deck. I agree. It's good synergy with Lotus Field. Opponent's mull to 5 on the play. Good to have a Force of Negation against decks that mull to 5 on the play, usually. Valakut, interesting. I'm assuming this is Naya Reclaimer. I think brought back is like being double white is incredibly hard to cast, and that's kind of the main reason to not play it in my opinion. But I also don't think it is good. Maybe you could play like a blue-white version of brought back and report back and tell me if it's good. But I kind of just don't expect that it's where you want to be. I think I want to cast Valakut Awakening this turn. And hope my opponent doesn't just jam Primetime if they have it. But also, like, that is kind of their deck, right? Jam Primetime. They got one card left in their hand. I think I'm going to awaken every card in my hand away besides Teferi. Love to find a Blood Sun. That would be maybe the best draw. Blood Sun and Lotus Field. There's a Lotus Field, no Blood Sun. Another Lotus Field. Yeah, I guess so. We can't hold up Tails End, so we're just gonna Tails End the trigger and hope. Let's got one card left. If it's prime time, they get to cast it. Hopefully it's a Boreal Grazer. I'm not sure that they didn't have it last turn. They could have been trying to position a bit. Probably didn't have it. This Teferi does cost -1 mana, which is nice. To make a big shark if we want. Would love to get to Force of Negation something. We can also snap Tails End on a Valakut trigger. Blood Sun does turn off the sack of Lotus Field. It's really, really good with Lotus Field. Would love to get to Force of Negation one of their 2 cards. They have a fetch land. So if we snap Tails End and counter this, we're not dead. Is that our only way to live? I think so. This deck's been going really well. We're 3-0 on the day, and also the deck just feels really powerful to me. I'm really excited by it. Like maybe I broke it. Let's see. All right, so they get another zombie, another trigger. Too bad we shuffled away our Nexus of Fate. It would actually be great now. They're going to kill the Snapcaster with this. They can't kill our Teferi. They can put us down to 4. We could shove block with a 1/1 Shark if we wanted to. That's probably... I guess there really isn't that big a difference between being at 4 and being at 6. Yeah, I'll just take this hit. Then we can make a 1/1 Shark, and we can also we can snap Valakut Awakening, looking for Cryptic Command, or there's Cryptic Command, or Nexus of Fate is the best draw. Never mind, I forgot we needed to find one of these. Okay, that actually now we're just like winning. We're just winning now. It's crazy. Yeah, we can still snap Awakening here, looking for Nexus, which we can cast if we draw it. Just put back every card besides... I guess I won't... I'll keep a Steam Vince in my hand just in case we brick on lands. No, we can still cast Cryptic if we brick on lands. Yeah, never mind. Put back everything besides the Cryptic. Awakening has been so incredibly good. Especially just like picking up... Oh, we found Nexus of Fate! Oh my gosh. Dude, this deck is just good. This deck is just a good Magic deck. I can't believe how powerful this deck has been. Just has so much raw power in it. Maybe hardcast this Typhoon. Seems fine. In fact, we even just don't have to cast Cryptic Command because, like, they're not making zombies, and the lightning bolts are going to be able to, like, make enough blockers here that we just, like, are fine on board now. Absurdly good. What a swingy game. This is a good Magic deck. Okay, so I want the Gust, of course. I'm probably going to leave in, like, 1 or 2 bolts. Can't remember exactly how I was siding yesterday. I think I was something like this. Do I want to settle? Nah. That was an awesome match. Should we have a hardcast Typhoon counter? I think we would have broken the counter by now if hardcasted so many times. We're 3-0 and up a game today in Evil Town. The deck is just chugging along really well. Yeah, Bloodsun is so good. Awakening is so good. Yeah, and I also, like, just personally, I love to build mana bases that... I love to find decks where it's correct not to play fetch lands, because I hate fetch lands so much. Like, just they make building mana bases in Modern so boring, because it's very rarely correct to play a mana base that doesn't play fetches, but if you're on the Bloodsun, fetch lands are bad. And this mana base is also very smooth. When I say Green-White Titan is tier 1 at this point, yes, I would say it's tier 1, both in power level and the amount of people that are playing it. I think people have understood that it is one of, if not the best deck in the format at the moment. Spike accidentally reveals he loves D&T. I do not love D&T. I promise. What I don't like about D&T is just, it just feels like you just draw your cards and you play the cards. In Modern, I do like D&T and Legacy, but in Modern it just feels like you just play the cards you draw. And it just is a little boring to me, I guess. I think do I want to Gust anything this turn? Well, I just want to Wildfire their Castle Garenbrig, because Castle still makes extra mana even with Bloodsun is down. Yeah, I don't think I own Spirebluffs either, actually. Maybe I need to buy those. What is the best Modern deck? Maybe this deck, the Green-White Titan. It at the very least is very well positioned right now. Maybe struggles against, like, some of the Swift Spear decks, but I really like it. Lean in Arbiter Sharkblade win. Hopefully never. Fingers crossed for never. I doubt they're just going to jam the tracker here, but they might. Oh, no, I mean, I hope I mean by this deck, Jeskai Lotus is the best deck in the format. I doubt that that's going to end up being the case, but I've really, really liked this deck so far. I think it has a ton of promise. Bloodsun, I guess it's fine. It does not stop that from making more mana. Hopefully they don't have an answer to this. Maybe we'll draw our one of Force of Negation. Third Aether Gust is not bad. This is fine. I don't think we're too scared of Tracker. A 0 counter Blast Zone to blow up Sharks in the late game is actually a bit concerning. Just a bit. What happens if you play a Vesuva with Bloodsun in play? I have no idea. It's a really interesting question. How much are Spirebluff Canals? Probably not that much.
Nadina's so easy to catch now.
Yeah, because she likes to be caught.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is...
Oh no, you caught me. I keep reaching for my tea and you're gonna make me spill it. So if they sack the clue and then play a tracker, we can gust the tracker again, and then also gust the Dryad. They're $4. Yeah, I'll probably pick up a playset. What's the dono queue looking like tomorrow? I think it's just your deck. Yeah, 3 spots open in the dono queue tomorrow. Oh no. No. They played a Vesuva, and it's just a Vesuva, but it is also a swamp, forest, island, mountain. Maybe I don't think we're supposed to gust our own Blood Sun, because then we don't have gust up because they just go to their second main phase. Like the Blood Sun like did a lot of work already. I think I'd rather just go Awakening away every non-Aether Gust card. Maybe we could put away one of these 2 gusts. Probably fine. Hell yeah. Maybe we can find a second Lotus Field. Oh, I can't quite play that. Play it next turn. Untapped Triome is an incredible feeling, by the way. It's pretty cool. The Suva plus Blood Sun Enu's untapped land with no abilities. Yeah, weird, right? Yeah, it also makes Lotus Field enter untapped, which is, of course, like, kind of the big part. Do we play around Guttural? I guess we can't play around Guttural Response, so we just won't. Although, I guess we could, because we could Tails in the ETB trigger. I haven't seen people play Guttural Response in a while now, though. But for like a moment, it was kind of popular to play that card. Okay. When Teferi costs 1 mana, it's pretty good. I actually think Lotus Field package plus Valakut Awakening is a real Splinter Twin situation. Awakening is so good in this deck. It's crazy. Yeah, this is a Splinter Twin too. This is a Splinter Twin. A lot of Splinter Twins in this deck. Well, the Bloodstone can't currently do anything because of the Blood Sun, but that is something to think about. I think I'd rather hold up Cryptic plus Aether Gust or Tail's End. Blood Sun, Blood Sun. Yeah, Blood Sun plus Flagstones is a nombo, but I found it to be not that big a deal. Because like you're often using your Flagstones before Blood Sun. And you can even wildfire your own Flagstones and then play a second Flagstones just to like not lose the land if you really care that much. I haven't found it, just haven't found it to be a big deal. But it is a slight anti-synergy. Tap their Vesuva for a black. Yeah, the card Splinter Twin is, or the Exarch and Pestermite's good with Lotus Field. I'm going to Cryptic to counter this, I think. I did make changes since yesterday, but I accidentally registered yesterday's 75. They probably get a second Skyclave Apparition, and we can Tails in the ETB trigger. Probably hard casting Typhoon next turn, too. Yeah, Cryptic Command bounce your Valakut Awakening has been real good, or just like wildfire your own Valakut Awakening and then Snapcast it back has been pretty cool too. They did get another Skyclave. We'll Tails in the ETB trigger. How good is Blood Sun against the land base? Yeah, very, very good so far. Like, it's not relevant in every matchup, but it's relevant in most matchups because of fetch lands, and then obviously it's insane in matchups like this. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to... Maybe I was supposed to Shark Typhoon, then Serum Visions, then Plus. I'm going to ask if I built this deck to beat Titan. I think that's a good sign that the matchup is good. Oh, I was not supposed to play this land because I could have found another Lotus Field. Be fine. Can't cast the Nexus of Fate yet. Yeah, it's pretty bad if they can blast in for 0, so... Do I feel like your other Jeskai Wildfire deck could sideboard some copies of Blood Sun to beat up on the field? Probably not, because it's a fetch land deck, you know? I don't think it would be the most unreasonable thing to do, but... Yeah, Blood Sun shuts off fetch lands. Yeah, the Force of Negations are expensive, but they're also like, I'm only playing 2 in this version, and you don't need the 3-mana Teferi in the sideboard if you're trying to be a bit budget. We are at 4, but I think with this Gust up, it's going to be really hard for us to die. Yeah, I only own 3 Force of Negation on paper, although there have been some decks I've played the full 4. How is 2 Force feeling? I think so. Like the reason I'm playing 2 Force is because I'm main decking 3 Tails End, and a lot of the cards that you need Force of Negation for, like Wrenn and 6, Teferi Time Raveler, Teferi Hero of Dominaria, Jason the Mind Sculptor, all get countered by Tails End, and so I don't think you need the 3rd Force of Negation as badly. Could some elements of this mana base be ported to your more traditional Flagfire list for more acceleration? So yesterday when I was putting this deck together, I woke up early to do it. I put a lot of different versions together, and I don't know if I saved any of them. Looks like I didn't. But I had some versions that were just not as in on the Lotus Fields, but like I think like if you wanted to play still like the fetch land mana base, you could still, like, the first Lotus Field over the second Mystic Sanctuary is probably pretty free and good. But I've really liked this build so far. Do a lag check. I'm not sure what's going on here. Would it be strictly incorrect to run the 3rd Force over the 4th Cryptic? I mean, I hate that expression. Strictly incorrect. But no, it wouldn't be. I think the 4th Cryptic is very good because you're trying to go Teferi into untap Lotus Field in a land and then Cryptic them. That's a huge part of the deck, and I've liked the 4th Cryptic, but if you disagree with me and you want to play the 3rd Force, go for it. I will not kick down your door. Just getting your opinion. Yeah, I got you good. I mean, I'm probably just like too obsessed with semantics. But I think it'll be fine. I don't think you would really feel the difference too much. But this deck is awesome. We're 4-0, feeling really good. Wait, Settle. But Winds of Abandon is also just not a very good card. I think people have been tricked into thinking it's good because sometimes you end up going... You overload Winds of Abandon in a creature mirror match and it looks sick, but the front, like the 2-mana part of it is not good, and I think you need to evaluate it based on that. Twinless Twin, welcome back, 7 months in a row. Hope you're having a good day today. Appreciate ya. This is exactly the card I was looking for. I didn't articulate this, but I lit on Steam Vents so I could Wildfire a turn 2 Flagstones potentially, although it is possible that I end up not doing that, so that way I can actually draw this Cryptic Command. And maybe I'll just Wildfire like my opponent's land if they play Utopia Sprawl, which they did not do. Another Reclaimer matchup. We did just win. I feel like this Cryptic Command is really important. To be able to go turn 3 Lotus Field, sacrifice Flagstones, turn 4 Cryptic. But also like this Wildfire is like just not getting cast anywhere else, so I think we should do this. And just kind of hope to draw well. Just like the Wildfire, I feel like it's just not getting cast forever if we don't cast it now, and we could also just draw another Flagstones or something. Them having a Flagstones is kind of bad for us, although I am really happy and thankful we drew this Lightning Bolt. So I will just play Lotus Field, and I'll let them sacrifice their Flagstones with Reclaimer just so they have less information about whatever. Like they may get another Flagstones if they think their Reclaimer is living. Yeah, the onboard reclaimer makes like Wildfire really bad. So like we could just cycle it on their forest, but I don't think that's something you're like really heavily incentivized to do. But it's certainly like an interesting decision point, and maybe we get really punished for it, but at least we got to talk about why. It's maybe obvious I have the bolts. Yeah, people really like Winds of Abandon. I feel like Winds of Abandon is kind of like perfect power level for a format like Historic or Pioneer, and I think it'd be really cool to see that card in either of those formats, but it is just underpowered for Modern, in my opinion. Yeah, we did see Sajiri step yesterday. That's a good point. Opponent reads that we have Lightning Bolts, sadly. Maybe I shouldn't have held control like I did. Second Reclaimer. And they also just had another Flagstones in their hand, so another reason to make the play they did. I'll definitely just slam Blood Sun. Blood Sun is just so good against their deck, and they don't have very many answers to this game one. It's really just Skyclave. How far away are we from Pour Over the Pages? So when I was thinking about brewing around Lotus Field in Modern, one of the directions I immediately went to was Lotus Field plus Pour Over the Pages plus Arc-like Phoenix. And I didn't actually finish building the deck list, and I don't truly believe that there's something there, but they didn't sack Flagstones in response to the Blood Sun. It's kind of sick. I don't truly believe that there's something there. Oh, they have Eldamri's Call for Skyclave. Oh, right. The Reclaimer was summoning 6. Sorry about that. I don't know why I thought it wasn't. I think it's chat. Would love for them to not Skyclave here. I don't know why they would do that. Seemed like they were thinking about it. Alright. Still 2 for 1. The fact that Blood Sun cantrips is also absurd in this deck. We have a lot of good draws here. It's not really one of them. Pitches the Force, I guess. So we can't effectively bolt this Elvish Reclaimer, because it's just going to be a 3/4 as part of... Why is it a 3/4? It's so big. I'm not, for 1 mana. Reclaimer is busted. Would I actually consider playing this deck if Blood Sun didn't cantrip? I don't know. I don't usually find hypothetical questions like that to be that relevant, because it just isn't the reality we live in. But maybe I would still play this deck. I would at least try it out. Did we not want to force the call? They cast the call. They cast the call on our turn when we didn't have 3 mana up. They Cavern Naming Giants. We still have outs to win. We won from a spot like this last match. Is Skyclave legitimately a Modern staple? Yes, it is. It's a very good card. So yeah, we could draw our Nexus or chain Cryptic Commands or draw Blood Sun like we did the other game. We can even cycle this Teferi for 1 mana potentially. If my opponent attacks my Teferi with these guys, I'm going to Snapcaster bolt the Skyclave and then double block Elvish Reclaimer, which I think will be an exchange that favors us a little bit. Oh boy. Well, I guess we're snap bolting now. Yeah, Skyclave is just one of the best white Magic cards ever printed. This deck does... Teferi, Hero of Dominaria beats Infinite Life. You exile all their permanents, and then you -3 Teferi on himself, and then keep exiling all their permanents, and then they deck themselves. We can also deal infinite damage because we have Nexus of Fate. So you stop their Infinite Life combo, and then you have a Shark in play, or hardcast Shark Typhoon, take infinite turns, and deal infinite damage. Cryptic is a great draw, of course. Do I want to cycle this other Teferi? I don't think we are that desperate, and I think ultimating our Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, is going to be kind of important. So I want to tap their team and bounce my Snapcaster Mage. I didn't even tap my Canal for no reason. Now I don't have Hardcast Force up. Oops. It's too focused on the next turn. Explain Teferi again. Are you doing that because I say it like every stream, or are you actually confused? But we have 2 outs to Infinite Life. I will unironically explain Teferi again. We have 2 outs to Infinite Life. Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, Ultimates. And then you still have a Teferi in play or one in your hand, and you exile all their permanents by drawing cards, and then Teferi can -3 targeting himself, and so you -3 on Teferi, and then the card you're drawing for turn is another Teferi, Hero of the same Teferi, and so you never deck yourself, and you're still drawing a card and like exiling the land your opponent plays for every turn, and eventually your opponent will deck before you deck. That's the last time I'll explain it for a few minutes. I also forgot the infloat mana end step. It is relevant here if they have a Eladamri's Call. But they don't. And I think we want to be doing it on upkeep because it like just makes their Elvish Reclaimer decisions a bit harder. Oh, that was Teferi sent me forward in time. Amazing. But our other out to Infinite Life is just we have a Nexus of Fate in the deck, so we can't deck ourselves either because of Nexus of Fate. And so if you take infinite turns with Nexus and you have a Shark in play, or even better, a Shark Typhoon in play, a hardcast one, you deal infinite damage. And so if you can break up their Infinite Life combo, they can't. You deal infinite damage. So infinite life is not really too big of a concern, I think. So hopefully we can find another Cryptic or Nexus of Fate to draw out of this. Maybe a hardcast Shark Typhoon could get some work done. Opponent gets a Selesnya Sanctuary. We might see it just bounce itself so they always have a land to play for Field of the Dead. They returned Cavern of Souls. I'm a bit worried about that. That means they could have a Dryad, although Dryad is not really doing anything unless they have a Valakut. And another Titan doesn't do anything without a Dryad, really. They did name Dryad. Do they have one in their hand, and do they have a Valakut? Seems like the answer is no. Yeah, Valakut's Awakening would also be really important here. We can also cycle this Teferi if we brick, which if this feels terrible because we're about to ultimate this, but it's where we're at. So close, so close. So many good draws, but just haven't found one. Cryptic Command, Nexus of Fate, Valakut's Awakening. Yeah, we're not dead. Obviously, we'd be like way happier if we were able to ultimate this Teferi, but keep going. Oh, we also get to extra on tap. You know, we won a match very similar to this last match. It's kind of cool that this seems to be just like a pretty consistent-ish game plan. Seems like they have Vesuva in hand. Maybe they do, yeah. They sacrificed their bog, so they can't get another bog. They are going to get a... Maybe we should have double bolted Reclaimer. Although, we probably should save double bolt for Dryad at this point. They get a Horizon Canopy. We also have, 2 more Blood Sun in our deck, which are pretty important. What a crazy match this has been. It's only game 1 of this match. And we are playing for 5-0, so there is... a lot of clout on the line. Get to attack here. They don't play a land. Interesting. I'm not sure what's in their hand that they have 5 cards and they don't play a land here. Valakut Awakening is good. We're also at 4 Serum Visions to smooth this out. There's Blood Sun and Nexus of Fate. So can we snap Serum Visions, play Blood Sun, play land? We have 3 mana untapped. We're going to tap 4 more in Nexus. So we have exactly enough. So let's do this. This is game 1, so I don't really think our opponent has like Boil or anything like that. Three, play land, untap 4 mana. Yeah, this deck is awesome. I'm so glad it's like performing as well as it is. Really, really happy about it. And we also like, maybe we just kill them here actually. Because we're taking an extra turn. We're attacking for 5 and then 7. We have 2 points, 2 bolts. I think we need to find another bolt or a Snapcaster. Looks like they have an Eladamri's Call, which I'm not going to force. They get a Skyclave Apparition. Wait, why didn't they cast that last turn? I'm confused. Probably didn't think that we had a card like Nexus in our deck. Oh yeah, we can Cryptic bounce our own Snap. Awesome. Cool line. Easy game, easy life. And by easy game, I mean incredibly difficult game that we were lucky to navigate our way through. That's off to their main deck paths. I mean, we have Force of Negation up. They have to have two paths in their hand. Yeah, this is like the best Teferi Hero of Dominaria deck maybe ever made. At least in Modern, I think that's true. Yeah, so on the draw, I think I sideboarded like this. Mana Symbol, 8 months in a row. Welcome back, homie. Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, I just love when a new brew works out well. Who came up with this deck? Me! Basically, all I do on the stream is play brews of mine. And I just had the idea for this deck yesterday. I played it yesterday. That's the whole Twitch channel is me playing brews of mine. Did not 5-0 yesterday, but I think we have a good chance of 5-0ing right now. Is the Madcap Sideboard plan required? I think it's really, really good, and I think it's especially good in this deck because we don't play fetch lands. But obviously you can play different cards, more settles maybe. What's the logic on only trimming one Force of Negation? They still play Eladamri's Call. They have Celestial Purge for Blood Sun, Boil, and just like when a deck like theirs gets so ahead on mana, having a card that can trade 0 mana for a spell, even at card disadvantage, can be quite good. In some versions of control decks, I even play 2 Force of Negation against their deck, even though it doesn't have many targets. Just when they're getting ahead on mana, trading 0 mana for their play is just such a valuable thing. Yeah, 90% my brews, or 80% my brews, and then also Dono Deck Thursdays. Well, I get to play your decks for money. Although I only have 1 in the queue for tomorrow, which is fine. Maybe just play more of this deck. Can I explain the Madcap Sideboard? Yes, I can. Probably should make this a command, but so the main idea behind playing Madcap is not it is very good in a lot of matchups, but honestly the reason why I'm so high on it, I'm gonna bottom the Fourth Visions and keep the Bolt. The main reason I'm so high on it is because it actually opens up sideboard slots for you, because it is incredibly difficult for you to have enough. So you can play like 3 or 4 sweepers and 3 or 4 pieces of graveyard hate, but you will still have dead cards against like Dredge, and you will still have dead cards against tribal decks or in creature decks. But if you play the Madcap Experiment package in your sideboard, you have 6 cards that can come in both of those matchups, and against Eldrazi, against Ponza, and it just like, you only get to play 15 sideboard cards, and so I already tapped my mountain. I should have waited for them to search, but I'll just do it now. But I should have let this happen. It really just opens up your Like, no longer do you have to dedicate like 10 cards for these matchups. It's only 6, which lets you play, you know, enough cards for these like really grindy 4-color mirror matches or control matches. And so that's the main reason. And it is very, very good against Monastery Swiftspear decks. And, you know, it's even if they know about the Madcap Experiment, it can be tough for them to... Okay, ramming up Excavator is really good for our opponent. It can still be tough for our opponent to like have like if they're trying to be the aggro deck in a matchup against us. It can be awkward. Oh no, I almost cast the wrong card. It can be awkward for our opponent to have to have reactive answers to Platinum Emperion in their hand, which a lot of us only play 2 or 3 anyways, and then like those cards are not going to be good in their aggro game plan. It's just going to be awkward in a few different ways. There's just a lot of ins and outs, you know. Would I put red cap in a deck that's not control or mid range? Probably not. But I actually have played it in Infect before as a Dono deck, but it was like a really good juke in Infect. There are spots to put it in. I think it's like maybe as good in the Swiftspear decks as like a sideboard plan. Put up Mold to 5. They have had a really good Mold to 5, but we've had like a good hand against them too. Yeah, I think it's good in Goblins too. I know Austin Ables has been working on it. Just the Madcap in the sideboard of Goblins, and you slide out your Aether Vials against the Swiftspear decks, and has he's liked it there, but he feels like Goblins is still not very good against Titan. Is Lotus Field lost the hexproof of Blood Sun? Yes, but it also loses the other abilities that aren't tapped. It enters untapped, and you don't have to sacrifice 2 lands. But they also can't Ghost Quarter it because their Ghost Quarters are turned off by the Blood Sun too. We can cast the Serum Visions here. Just pass it back. Bottom both of these. This is game 2, and we are up a game, and we're really ahead here. Now I want to add the Madcap to the Scred sideboard when Mazebind Tomes are bad. Yeah, that's probably true, although Tome does gain 4 life against aggro decks. Does Flagstones just turn into a really bad Plains with Blood Sun? Yes, it does, but I think it's still good to play 4. I don't know. Viv, thank you for the host. You feel like Rule with Madcap would be good? Yeah, I think so too. I think that people are just sleeping on it. It just like it in my opinion, it is better than I think it is still good even if your opponents know about it, which is a good spot for it to be. Okay, I'd rather counter whatever they get with the Eladamri's Call here. Are there any big Lotus Field payoffs besides Cryptics and big Valakuts? Teferi, Hero of Dominaria is the big one because you get to untap your Lotus Fields with Teferi. That's like I don't know that this deck would necessarily work without it. What do I like about main deck Settle the Wreckage? Just one more creature answer is kind of something I feel like this deck needs, and Settle has been really good when I've played it out of the sideboard. Just like you go Teferi, untap Lotus Field in a land, and then you Settle, which is really, really good. So I think you want to play Settle over other sweeper type effects, and I'm not sure that the deck necessarily needs a main deck Settle, but I kind of just want to try it out, I suppose. They don't get their Flagstones trigger, but they do get to at least get a land here, although most lands are not as good. My opponent gets a Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which is weird, because Valakut isn't working right now. So I guess this decision by them implies that they have an answer for Blood Sun in their hand. They also didn't get a bounce land. Bounce land is like actually pretty good against Blood Sun. Yeah, they could have gotten double white though. Their Windswept Teeth also does nothing. It seems like potentially my opponent's just inexperienced when it comes to playing against Blood Sun, which is like super reasonable, of course. Not a very popular card. But I'm a little worried about them having like Celestial Purge here. That's a card that makes a lot of sense to me, so I'm not gonna untap or tap out of Cryptic, and now I have double Cryptic up because Lotus Field is just so absurd. You know what would be really cool is if this Jeskai deck got really popular, if the Lotus Field deck just, or if the Reclaimer deck just played a Lotus Field in the main to be able to tutor up after Blood Sun comes down, that would be really good. They're leaving their Heath in play. I'm just kind of confused. I don't. We could snap bolt this Elvish Reclaimer, but also like the Reclaimer just doesn't do anything really. I mean, it's still a 3/4, and we can't really deal with it after this turn. After like right now, they can't sack the Heath. I guess, but what do I think of Blood Sun as a standalone card in the format? It's felt good. It's felt pretty good. Like, people aren't ready for it. It's not like super relevant in every matchup, but like it crushes matchups like this, and it's like against most like 3 or 4 color fetch land deck. It's been putting in work. It cycles, which is really good, and then obviously it's nuts with Lotus Field. They played a forest from the hand, not the graveyard. Yeah, I think they have some kind of instant here. I'm not sure exactly what. I think I'm going to start off by casting Awakening, putting back the redundant Blood Sun, Wildfire, and Sacred Foundry. Draw 4 new cards. There's the hero we were looking for. I need a hero. Obviously, this opens us up to some of their instants, but I think it's like still good enough to jam here, untap both Lotus Fields. Yeah, I mean, even if they have Boil, it only destroys one of our lands. Yeah, but it's possible they boarded it in. Yeah, a -1 mana Teferi Hero of Dominaria. Pretty good. Have I ever brewed around Astral Drift? Francisco has. Francisco has. I haven't personally, but I think I've played his Astral Ren Brew. Untap Sajiri Step. You feel like the window is closing. I feel like the window has closed. Their hand is now Dryad, 2 mystery cards. It's going to let Teferi take 2. Might Burning Tree Teferi next turn, although I think I'm more likely to just like hardcast this Typhoon. And then untap the 2 Lotus Fields that I used to cast the Typhoon. I don't think I'm chumping, so I'll attack. I think that we are 5-0 on the day with this deck and picking up a trophy with this really cool brew. Awesome, awesome. Resolves. What is this? Yeah, this is a thing of beauty for sure. Guess we'll go ahead and get a 4/4 Shark. Have a plethora of Cryptics here. An abundance of Cryptic Command. Yeah, finally above Spider again. Our friendly or maybe not so friendly rivalry. Actually, let me double check. Maybe Spider got another trophy yesterday. Yeah, we're above Spider. Alright, 5-0, baby. Let's open these chests.